welcome to all of the lovely IHP community and the 5D collective, and anyone who is new, who has self worth, expansion, and forgiveness in the forefront. Forgiveness is the motto for our 5D collective, since Christ consciousness is all about the openness to have a heart and a mind that are in harmony. So, a whole self is when you're going to make the most of yoga, mindfulness. That's because you love all. And so, you're doing Dharma. You love all of your child parts and they're not charged, and you love all unconditionally. Humanly speaking, you don't have stories for those so-called insecurities that people will present to you. So the ones who talk to you about evil with demonizing, or the ones who romanticize and victimize, and we have the people who have a facade. So the false sense of self, until you claim your whole self, that's where we have a not grounded in a whole self person. And so for those people, yoga is different, mindfulness is different, mind sight. If they have trauma charges in a certain way, they can have what is called dissociation happen. And that's why the practitioners who are caring about what they do, holistic, mental health, yoga, we all come together and we work together. And we don't do let's call each other names. We do let's try and share with people how important it is for you to get yourself to work on those child parts and to know about your body so that you can know whatever comes up and you don't have a mind that tricks you. And so let's not do the karma wheel of the unconscious individuals who then live out their unresolved childhood wounds, playing it out, because your attachment system, it comes online at that first year of age, and then your first 8 years are what lead you if you don't get that earned secure attachment into whole self. So it's once you have a whole self, you no longer have any of lack of willpower, the solar plexus, lack of being able to handle when unknown, unexpected, unwanted happens, in a way of taking and attuning to yourself and regulating. So the codependent people, the low self-esteem, indirect communicators, they're passive aggressive. They don't know that healthy boundaries is talking, so they usually resort to stories like the devil, evil, blocking each other, unfriending. So they don't have, again, that capacity to stand in Dharma and use an open heart and then have this. They don't know how to stand in Christ consciousness. And standing in this isn't hard for those of us who expand consistently, because we have a whole self which leads with healthy self-worth. That's why I share with you funny stories about when we get to meet mystics, the 5D, those gossipers, because it's like, wow, I got a teenager in the house. That's going to be fun, because we don't do the Cusco, we do Pacha. So when you meet low self-esteem individuals, they're already in biological rudeness. And they will have a facade. The spiritual mantle people, yes, mantles of spirituality and spiritual bypassers and mantles of mental health. So you'll notice who they are by how they tell their story. Blamers, martyrs, superiors, they have a story, and the ones who keep using Lucifer, that's their story too. Okay, and so you make the most of here HP for funny stories, but also when you're ready to do emotions, because you have that whole self in the forefront and your inner and outer well-being in the forefront. You can't have inner well-being if you don't know how to tune to your nervous system and to then become a person who can have a functional adult interaction. Okay, so making the most of all of that which is within the updated trending topics, it is up to you to be aware of that importance of your mental health, the mental hygiene, and having a window welcome to the body. It's why it's the first stop with the child parts and with EMDR, so you can get the integration of the brain process stuff going on. Own the core self, get out of core beliefs of unwantedness, unlovability completely, and lead with your higher self and not with a teenager who is a Cusco attitude. And we're going to read a little bit. So mysticism and spirituality, we get to look at how amazing one it is to bring it all together. And that even though some people think sciences dismantle or disproves mysticism and that which is in the invisible plane, it doesn't for those of us who are mystics. It actually comes together. So for me, I see how when I am in the presence of people who do karma, there's the 3D, 4D plane, if you will. And then when I'm in the presence of those who do dharma, I'm with the 5D plane individuals. And this is the fun part. We have fun with both, but we expand, obviously not with the gossipers that don't have healthy self-worth. We expand with the ones who bring together sciences and spirituality because we are engaging with each other by being present, because we know low self-esteem. We know healthy self-worth. So you and I are partners. We're not insecure and playing out what is a Diego family and what is a karma wheel, which is involving people who have low self-esteem, indirect communication. They do the blame game, fault, shame. Again, there's a lot that goes on with that karma wheel, and their facade, their sense of self is not a true one. It's a fake one, quote unquote. It'll be their subjective reality because they will say, no, this is who I am. And as they stagnate in that pattern, you'll notice that they are going to become the pattern of the story they told you to begin with. It's very fascinating. I'll have stories later. So, gossip, cynicism, and narrow states of consciousness, they come with their stories too. They come with ridicule, although the ridicule is not really ridicule, because again, we don't need them to give us a thumbs up. That's for my regular viewers and listeners. That's when you hear me say again, it's because I will have already talked about some concepts. So with the whole self, gossip is nothing more than an exchange between people who have different ways of living and vibing. And we are okay with being around these vibes because they're not energy vampires, dark auras, or any of that. No, they're the dead eyes. I got it explained by a lovely woman who's healing from her stuff effectively, and she gets hate mail. What she says, the dead eyes are the fight flight. It's the survival mode. So anyone who's living this, I'm not going to be afraid of them. I'm not even going to feel sorry because they're going to make sure to let me know how much they don't like those of us who are mystics, or who knows, whatever else they're going to bring into the picture. Sometimes they're going to make themselves out to be a victim, where they will have brought to the people in their life the very suffering that they're talking to about. It's a facade that they won't recognize unless they take their self seriously. And that's the unfortunate business of the people who have the childhood trauma and don't go and get it healed. Because with rejection, abandonment, and more than just that, injustice, what else is there? So there's a couple of childhood trauma wounds. What I did notice since the beginning of Ascension on our lovely planet, because I've been on the journey since 2007, the 4D collective, they didn't get out of any of it. Nope. They just kept building their karma, and then they pointed fingers at the people that they involved in their own life. They didn't take accountability. They did not learn self-regulation. They didn't even notice that they haven't moved 1 inch into more of their inner well-being. They wake up in the morning less energetic. They're more tired. That's your indicator that you're not working with a body that knows how to use its own social engagement system. You have it. Okay, so this is in case any of you need to hear. The body, the heart, and the mind are your priority, and that's called mental hygiene, health, making sure and not minimizing the good therapists. The good therapist, EMDR, child parts work, somatics. Then you can add yoga, mindfulness, it'll all benefit you. But if your primary host, your body, the vessel, is not something you have any idea of how to regulate, it means you don't know how to tune. So without a whole self, your attunement is going to be off, and that is what I noticed. Those people didn't learn how to tune. They may have clairs. They didn't get 1 inch closer to becoming more of what they could be. They refuse and reject the empowering information that I share by saying, I find it hard to believe the first 3 years of life mean anything. Stop bugging me with that stuff, Maria. I'm superhero with super villain and super... Bye. Have fun. I'm going to go hang out over there. I'll see you later, alligator. Okay, so we don't hang around, but we don't cut cords. No need to cut anyone out. But if they're in our energy sphere, we'll make sure to... That's what I do. I just move my hands like I'm doing right now. That's why I feel like a whack job sometimes. Like, you may be right. I may be crazy. But maybe you're looking for a lunatic. But I'm not that type of lunatic that will get into the squirrel attitude from Cusco land. That I won't. In fact, that's actually where those people went with their twin flame. And I have twin flames. I didn't go up to any of them in any way, shape, or form and do that. That's because I got lucky. I'm so lucky, and I'm lucky, and it's true because I don't like to be a buffoon, so I get protected by my own self. And the future is bright and beautiful. And with that being said, again, remember the whole self of you is when you're going to maximize from all of that, which is yoga, mindfulness, mindset, and self help. I'm being serious. So let's be thankful that our updated scientists know how to handle people and support them. And when they are true scientists, they also welcome people like me. And we come together and we tease and make fun of all those who lack the educational information of how amazing it is to bring science and spirituality and spiritual and say, hey, I think you're right. I might be crazy, but I'm not a crazy that does the pseudo life bit or the clinical dissociation bit. I also don't say the moon doesn't exist and the earth is flat or whatever, all that other. Yeah, and I won't be chasing any scientists down the hallway. And I don't believe that even if they disprove reality with AI, that they're actually legit. The scientists are doing that. So I'm just saying, we got a bunch of people. Come over for 5D Collective Chit Chat. We can get to tease. We also have fancy men and women in suits informing us ladies of things. Anybody want to know? I know my regular viewers and listeners are like, no, not again, not again. Yes, again, again, again. I have to. I can't resist because, the simplest things in life can brighten up a day. This is going to brighten up somebody's day. Hold on for it. So, first of all, the ability to unconsciously love our own self with flaws and imperfections. Show yourself. I'm dying. No, no, not that. No. Or how about the song Into the Unknown? I know the siren in my ear. I don't want to follow. You're going to get me into trouble. Yes, all of that dramatic shit is basically a teenager who wants to feel special. Every time I got a little whisper in my ear, I'm like, come on, again? No. So there's this rabbi who thinks that for feminines, it's something painful to start anything new. He doesn't know a feminine, that's why, but he doesn't know a divine feminine, and he doesn't know divine masculines either. If he did, he would know that he doesn't know what he's talking about. But then again, he does know what he's talking about when it comes to the ones who don't become their empowered version. And that's a sad story. I don't like to, I don't like to, what is it called, flaunt the fact that I come with love. But I do. I do. But it's very simple, my lovely viewers. I'm not going to kid it. Jesus is my love. I'll never forget when he picked me up by my ear. We laughed together. I said, I'm done making a big deal. I know. I did. I laughed. So this is where, for mystics, everything happens in our mind's eye. But for a 5D mystic, you're like, I just see a bunch of aliens over there. Did I notice an angel over here? I must be. I don't know. Where's the movie? I don't know where the TV is at. So we don't have this thing called, again, clinical dissociation because I'm a whole self. My groundedness is in my Maria 1-year-old, 3-year-old scientist. The 4D, they completely lose track. I have friends. And I hope that in time they can get grounded, but they don't take their mental hygiene or health seriously enough to say, let me go and work on my child parts so that I can learn how to attune to my nervous system and to socially engage in my social engagement system and to get out of this survival mode. Because, see, this is the part I am trying to be serious, because if you're not a whole self yet with all your child parts, what I witnessed and I'm still witnessing is people don't notice their maladaptive adaptive child patterns of behavior, and their modulated and their dysregulated embodiment, which I do. You know why? Because every day I get to hear how they feel when they wake up. And then I get to hear about their relationships. And then I get to hear about their repeat patterns. And then I get to hear that what I gave them as channeled guidance, because this is people all around, I don't have that many, but I have a consistency. They will have distorted what got told to them. And that's because I'm very accurate with what I share. So I will notice how a teenager twists something to their volition, and I'm there with my educational attachment trauma. And Stephen Porges, who says, remember, Maria, they don't hear you. They're on biological rudeness. Their ears are flopped down. Yes, because their frontal lobes are flopped down, and they're using their amygdala, and there's alert. So they're in a survival mode. So when you know how a person's working, no need to talk to Cusco. And so when they come around, you don't say no. Mystic doesn't say no, which is why when they make fun of you and of your cards, and then they keep coming at you for it, though, you're like, I'm starting to understand what Ursula is talking about, but not in the same way that Ursula does it. I'm just laughing because Ursula in The Little Mermaid, she's not really nice. She takes Ariel's voice. I don't do that. I say, since it's just for entertainment, I'm going to say you don't need any of this. And if you come at me with a sense of urgency, I'm going to say, there's people who do it as a profession. I do it for personal development. So do you want to contact? Because I know a bountiful of them out there that do what you're asking me while ridiculing what I am and what I do and what I bring. Let me hear. What do you want? Oh, it's still entertainment. Okay, cool. So it's not going to be today. It'll be whenever it is that I can get back to you on something that's, by the way, not even important because it's not the end of the world. So there's a lot of different way that people who are 5D mystics handle those who don't have, again, the capacity to work on themselves, but they like to bring to us a facade. And they actually do, like the towns, those towns, they all know each other, they talk about each other. Yeah. So you feel bad for ignorance and you feel bad for people who don't ever get a hold of their own seat, but you do know that they're having a good time. So you leave it alone. We expand with those who want to expand. Join us if you do care. And when we do meet anything that is not here, we understand that it is something that's called, like the Dalai Lama responding to a person who goes up to him and says, "How dare you smile in the face of all this suffering?" And he says, some of us have a responsibility to bring in laughter and joy or something like that. And I'm like, yeah. At first I was like, we don't have the responsibility, Dalai Lama. We have the ability, because if they don't welcome us, they're going to have a broken heart. And so we didn't really do anything. I can't regulate your nervous system from your sense of self. It's fake. It's not even with the 1-year-old yet. And you're not even taking seriously people like Patrick Teahan. You want the magical wand, but you don't want to go to the childhood trauma therapist. And you're making fun of people who are, or saying, I find it hard to believe that first use of life. So whenever somebody's deflecting any of good information, FYI, just remember, they don't want to be their self. They just want to be another one of those mantles. And we don't really want mantles here because we're all people, not superheroes or supervillains. It's really simple. Again, I was given the free will choice in my catechism. It didn't change. The people who are using God's name the way they do, I still told him, I said, I'm not listening to them. I listen to you and I listen to Jesus. That's it. They are mean. They're really mean. Now they're manipulating in ways that I don't even know what to do with that. And then I get reminded, none of your business. Remember, all ears hear what they want to hear. You're not their siren. You're a person, Maria, talking to people. They listen to the siren. We all know why they're going to listen to the siren. They vibe with those mouths. You're going to vibe with the tone of a voice. It's funny because I have a story for you all that I share with you. And that story has a moment prior to when I got interrupted. The person recognized me by my voice. It was really beautiful. And in fact, it's still something beautiful when I think about it, because of that's just like when you make an impact. What's sad is that it's an individual who's closed-minded to the extent of thinking that sciences and spirituality can't come together when they do, because they're subject matters. They don't disprove one another. The people who use only a left mode, they're ignorant. They don't know how to let things sit in an A and a B and a C and notice I'm getting rigid because I don't like them touching. Maybe I can pause my left mode for a minute, let myself out of my little box and allow myself to hear something, and then allow myself to remove myself a little bit more, and then look at the big elephant and the big picture. And then I can say I'm an intelligent human being versus I'm a narrow state of consciousness human being who basically is going to just resort to, it's not even about the gossip. It's just small talk, small brains, small everything. This is not because I'm intelligent in the way of, no, I don't consider myself stupid either. And I don't consider anybody who ridicules a person intelligent. In fact, they are, to say the least, a person who has low self-esteem. So I leave it alone because I know that they don't feel good inside. And if they got to a therapist, they might get better at some point. Until then, I think, well, at least you're satisfied with yourself. I know that your self-loathing, gut-wrenching, torn apart inner world, your hellhole, is not going to go away. And that's the first step to where you're going to live hell. As for what happens after, I already know as a mystic, it's not necessary to contemplate. This is what makes me laugh about my 4D friends. It's not funny. They keep thinking about the stars. I keep thinking about smart human beings who present to me smart equations. And when they do, I'm like, yeah, you are right. I know that about consciousness. And so one of my smart people, as we were teasing about, I don't remember what it was, and they were like, when you die, you're not going to be Maria. I'm like, yes, that's why I'm making the best of everything now. I don't remember exactly how I answered, but I said, yeah, that's the point. I try telling the other mystics, they just want to stay in meditating space all day long. I don't want to be there, not doing anything there. I want to, get out and do more. No, I have plenty to do where I'm at. But you don't actually get upset at people who gossip and are cynical and that they have narrow states of consciousness, because you understand that that's where their soulless lies. And that, again, there's a good therapist if they want to get that whole self online. Until then, they think that they're living a highlight. And then they have fun gossiping about people like me. Oh, I have so many stories. It's really funny. And so the future, it is consciousness, it is life, it is love and oneness. The 5D collective, we know. Like Sadhguru says, if you move your life from reaction to conscious response, the quality and experience of your life will be entirely determined by you. Yes, it will. This is enlightenment. And enlightenment, you will know when you get there, I remember. And it's also the restorative embodiment. So when you take yourself seriously, whether you're a mystic or not, means you don't really do this, even though we all talk. We all talk about each other. So gossiping is what others who want to be those left brain, you all gossip, sure, whatever, we all gossip. The intent is different. And mysticism isn't something that is a label. It is something that you'll acknowledge, although, again, we have a lot of different types of people out there. So just remember, food for thought, from one mystic to another and one person to another. That is where we also are people here with self-worth and expansion. And we have, again, this is our priority, not because we owe anything, no, because we know how to use Dharma, our prefrontal cortex, and we are always living this Dharma. Always say, yeah, well, we're always doing karma too, but karma is different. And there's many different ways that you can learn about. This is why words, they don't stay stuck in one. There's like 10 different things that you can put to one word depending on who you're listening to. So Sadhguru has a number of different ways he expands on karma. One is that it's you doing. One is that it's the unconscious. One is that it's the, I forget. But my point is, I can use words just the same. So the only individuals who like these types of conversations are the same ones who are contemplating the way that I am as well. If you're only using the left mode, you're not going to enjoy any of this because you're not yet using both sides of your brain. So as long as you have not integrated, so integration of your brain equals that left and right work together, you're in your prefrontal, that's the day you'll be able to have always more and more of a good time. And so again, you can keep on coming by, but my point is mindfulness, mindset practices will be beneficial to those who want to do emotions and thoughts and have fun, and who know that this is a sad story because there's a solution to it. And it's not this demon devil story, and it's not the victim story of there being superheroes and supervillains. It's not you living out the facade either. It's you going to a good therapist and getting it all healed. And that way you can become the inner child adult of you, which is when your heart is always going to be open. And that's why you live Dharma. It's also why you live spirituality. It's also why you don't need to be told about how this works. You're always doing it because we're an expanding piece of consciousness, because we have self-worth, because gossip doesn't mean anything more except for whatever vibe you're in. So again, I can be considered a gossiper when I make fun of those people on Suits and everything. But what I love more than anything is that I get to be of all worlds. Mystic, science, spirituality. I use both sides of my brain and I have fun with smart people. So again, come on over if you're curious for more. In the meantime, thank you for stopping by.